Here was the pond. They've covered it all in. There was a gate that you walked in and up onto the obstacle field, but this was traditionally a pond. And a friend of mine who was also a manager, he came along once and he bought a bag of goldfish and tipped them. He tipped it all in the pond. But gradually, they got taken and eaten. So they all disappeared. But that was the pond and everybody knew about it. It wasn't very deep, but you didn't go in it, really. But it's all covered over now and you can't even get through to it. So come on, let's come to the obstacle course. This was wood, because the land that was on our lease, the Brady lease, goes as far as Dalton's Road, the road that goes up and runs alongside the edge of the farms. So this field with trees and woods, was like this, and it stretches all the way to Dalton's Road. And then one of our housekeepers, whose son was in the army, he said, you can't use that land as it is. Sometimes for a night game, but very little use. So he said, my son belongs to the charity unit of the army. So when they're not marching up and down, they do charity work. So he got in touch with his son, and the long and the short of it is, we had the army down here for 6 days. We fed them and we bedded them in the house. They had a great time, but they brought big diggers, tractors, which were the army equipment. We could never in a million years have even got hold of that equipment. And they cleared 2/3 of this field. They cleared everything. So it became just flat grass. We then decided we would put an obstacle course in. And there was actually a tree in the middle. So what we did, and Gracie remembers this, because she took part in the games, they're here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 obstacles put in. There were swing bars, there was a fort at the end, which we named after one of the Brady boys that had made donation for us to renew the games area and tennis court. So we called it after him, we called it Fort Morris. And that was there, and part of the game was you climbed up a net, ran across the top and came either swinging down or sliding down. Then you went into a big tunnel, then you had monkey bars. And so when it was built, we used to come here every Sunday morning. You listening, Bush? Yeah. We used to come here every Sunday morning and we had a competition. And we timed individually and sometimes teams. We could take the whole morning here. Everyone took part, boys, girls, age, didn't matter. They all took part. And we had the programmes that were done in 1950. And these children came when they were started with us when they were 5, 6 years old, and they up to COVID they were still with us at 16 and 17. They came every year, they booked it, came every year and participated in all these type of games, which no doubt someone else will tell you about. Yeah.
Dips.
Here's the field. The top part here is called the upper field, and you can see it's got a slope. The bottom part was always a football pitch, and the grass was kept cut, especially when they knew we were coming down for our weekend. The grass was all cut so we could have all games on the football field. Besides football, non-stop cricket, remember that?
Yeah.
And what was that one? Blind Britain or something. I don't know, there's several different games, all played down on that field. On this field, you can't see because of all the shrubbery in the middle. We built a campfire, a site for a campfire. So on some evenings, when the weather was reasonable, we could sit in front of the campfire, have marshmallow and sing songs and things like that around the campfire. All the boys at the club, it's fair to say, the big percentage, maybe as high as 70%, were sports mad. There's football, cricket, tennis, table tennis, snooker, swimming, athletics, and we participated in the various organisations, inter-club organisations, AJY, Association of Jewish Youth, London Federation of Boys Club, and the National Association of Boys Clubs. And we entered all these competitions and were very successful. We made a big haul of personal medals and cups that were on display at the club. We had problems because the wall on that side, I think it was that side, it may have been this wall, had a protection notice on it. So what we had to do, we had to build the wall inside the protected wall, so that when they came round to inspect it and they went away, we knocked we knocked that wall down. It was hugely successful, and we even had a swimming gala here. We used to play water polo here, and we had to give sessions. Children have a 30, 45-minute session, then they had to go out, another group came in. There's boys' changing rooms with showers, girls' changing room with showers. The only problem we had, when we eventually built it, it cost nearly 60 grand, 60,000. So we had to find the balance of the money. And we did a few fundraising exercises, including running a big show on a West End stage, and we managed to get the funds to complete the swimming pool. There's supposed to be air conditioning in here, so you keep the windows closed, because if you open them, they all get steamed up. It gets steamed up. I don't know if it's still working. And then eventually, to raise some funds, we let a local babies swimming club use it. But that's all local, it's nothing to do with Brady. But Brady certainly, I think it was built in round about, if I think about it, 1975. Well, we had, on our weekend alone, we've had at least 50 children. That's our weekend. I don't know what other weekends did, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were several hundred, and adults. Sometimes we had some adults in there, and you know, we used to have lots of games.